What's up, people? Welcome back. Final video for the list is the top 10 most anticipated films of 2019. Now, 2019 has already started. We're already halfway through January, but there is still an entire year of hopefully awesome movies coming out, and we're going to talk about 20 films that I am really anticipating for this year, 10 being honorable mentions in no order whatsoever, and then my top 10, which are definitely my top 10 of the year so far. And I'm hoping we have a lot of good surprises too, because last year my top 2 films were movies that I didn't even realize were coming out. So there's always some great surprises, but these are films that we already know damn well are coming out in 2019 as long as no bullshit production problems happen, and these are my most anticipated. So from 20 to 10 or 20 to 11, I'm just going to kind of list them off and give a couple of details. Not going to go that in depth, and these are in like no particular order. Number 20 is the Lego Movie 2, the second part. Huge fan of the first Lego Movie, expected absolutely nothing from it. It's one of the best animated films of the past like 10 years. That and Wreck-It Ralph are my favorites, so can't wait for the second part. Number 19, this might surprise some people. Godzilla, King of the Monsters. I'm not a fan of the Gareth Edwards Godzilla film. I think it's a giant dick tease. I think Godzilla looks awesome. When you actually get to the fighting, it's awesome, but the movie just teases you the whole time. This looks like it's going to be the movie I wanted Godzilla to be. It looks like it's going to be fighting throughout probably the most of the movie, because there's 3 villains. You got Mothra, you got Rodan, and then you got King Ghidorah, I believe. I'm not a Godzilla fan, so I don't know all the names, all the characters, but I'm pretty sure I got those correct. But it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. It looks like it's going to be a slam bang action fighting movie, and that's what I want from a Godzilla film. So hopefully it's good. Number 18 is Dark Phoenix. Now, this would have been in my top 10 most anticipated if I had not seen that trailer. This is a movie that I have been waiting for a very long time. I was a big fan of the younger cast they had in Apocalypse. I've been waiting for them to redeem themselves from the horseshit they gave us in X-Men The Last Stand and finally do this storyline right. Figured they had all the pieces in place. Then the Disney deal happened. Now it looks like the movie's being almost completely reshot, or at least halfway reshot. The trailer that we did get looks like the most vanilla, redundant X-Men film that we've gotten so far. It looks like it's retreading all the things we've seen, so still have faith. Still really want to see it, but it dropped it all the way down to my honorable mentions. So, number 17 is Shazam. Huge fan of Aquaman. I'm on a DC high right now. Shazam, the first trailer we got, really enjoyed it. Was not expecting to like it that much. This could be a 1-2 punch. We will see. But it looks like it's going to be a fun, enjoyable time regardless. So, 16, The Lion King. I was a gigantic fan of Jon Favreau's The Jungle Book. The Lion King looks like it might be even better. For a lot of people, that's the greatest animated film ever made, the best Disney film ever made. It's never been that high for me personally, which is why it's just an honorable mention, but the fact that Jon Favreau is doing what he did with The Jungle Book to The Lion King, can't be anything but excited about that. Number 15 is one you're probably not going to see in too many lists. Son of Shaft. I love the Shaft movie from, I think it was the early 2000s, with Samuel L. Jackson. I think that he is born for that role. This movie is bringing the old school Shaft, Richard Roundtree I believe is his name, Samuel L. Jackson, and then a new character who's playing Samuel L. Jackson's son. It's going to be 3 generations of Shaft. Just the fact that we get Samuel L. Jackson back in that role, and one of my favorite roles that he's ever done, is why I'm so anticipating this. I don't really know anything else about the movie aside from that, but that's enough to make my honorable mentions. Number 14, Are You Afraid of the Dark? This was the show of choice when I was growing up. You had Goosebumps and you had Are You Afraid of the Dark. I always thought Are You Afraid of the Dark was better and it was scarier. So I'm very curious what they're going to come up with for this. I don't know what the storyline is going to be, but brand recognition gets it up into the honorable mentions. Number 13, a lot of people are going to have this way high on their lists. Star Wars Episode 9, whatever the fuck it ends up being titled. I absolutely loved The Force Awakens. I think it was my favorite movie that year that it came out. The Last Jedi, this is not starting any kind of bullshit in the comment section, I'm just stating my opinion, was not a huge fan of it. There was a lot of great things about it. I did not particularly care for hardly any of the story directions that they chose to go with that movie. So that's what brought it down, because I feel like a lot of it's just going to be like damage control, like how do we follow these directions now? And J.J. Abrams is coming back to complete the trilogy that he kind of started, and I don't know. I hope it's great. I'll be there day one, regardless of what I say, but The Last Jedi has kind of deadened my anticipation for now. Maybe this movie will get it back up there, but who knows? But made the honorable mentions. Number 12, Terminator 6. Whatever they end up calling it, I love the Terminator films. Even the bad ones are still watchable and fun. They're nowhere near as good as the first 2, but like Terminator 2 is probably in my top 10 films of all time. And this is getting everybody back in place to do a direct sequel to Terminator 2. You get Sarah Connor back. You're supposed to be getting Arnold Schwarzenegger back. Who knows? Maybe even Eddie Furlong will make a cameo. Who the fuck knows? But just the fact that we seem to be getting all the pieces back to do a traditional, good Terminator movie again, that has me excited. So we got that one. And my last honorable mention is the Joker film with Joaquin Phoenix. Only because we know absolutely nothing about this movie aside from Joaquin Phoenix is in it and Scott Phillips is directing it, Martin Scorsese is producing it. God knows how much that means he's involved with this, and we know what he looks like. That is it. I don't know what the storyline is as far as just a Joker origin story in the 80s. That's about all we know. It looks like it could be awesome, but it could just as easily come off the rails in the first fucking spin. So I don't know, but it has me very interested. So that made my honorable mentions out of pure curiosity. Now getting into the top 10 most anticipated films of 2019. Number 10 is The New Mutants. Now, if you have paid attention to my list for the past couple of years, 2 years ago, my favorite film of the year was Deadpool. Last year, my favorite film of the year was Logan. I'm kind of a fan when Fox does some really risky shit with their Marvel properties. That's what The New Mutants is. The New Mutants is basically an X-Men horror film from what we could tell from that first trailer. And if that's indeed the film that we get when it actually drops this year, if we get it this year, then that is completely me. That is everything that I would want. The reason why it's number 10 and not way up on the list like it should be is because the movie has gone through development hell. After that trailer dropped, got everybody excited, they delayed the film by almost like a year. And it's going through major reshoots and rewrites and everything. Might have to do with the Disney deal, might not, I have no idea. But I don't know what version of this film we're gonna end up getting when it actually does hit the theaters. But if we do get what that trailer advertised, it should be awesome. So number 10 is The New Mutants. Number 9 is a film that was on my most anticipated list for 2018, but it didn't actually end up coming out in 2018. I think it premiered at one festival and nobody's heard anything of it since, so it's definitely gonna drop this year, right? Hopefully. Dragged Across Concrete. This is a film that I was really anticipating because of Brawl in Cell Block 99, which made my top 4, top 5 of last year. It's the same director, also the same director of Bone Tomahawk. A lot of people have been big fans of that one. But it's basically the director of Brawl in Cell Block 99 getting together with Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn to do a very violent, gritty, dirty cop movie. Do you need to hear anything else? Can't fucking wait for it. Please come out this year. Number 9, Dragged Across Concrete, and that's a badass title. Number 8, You've Got a Friend in Me, Toy Story 4. Yes, I agree with all of you. Toy Story 3 was a perfect ending to the Toy Story story. If it ends there and we never got another Toy Story film ever again, perfection, like all 3 of the Toy Story films. But we're getting another one, and there is absolutely no reason to have any negative thing to say about it, because they nailed it 3 times in a row. Pixar nails it time and time again with very, very, very rare stumbles. There's absolutely no reason to expect that Toy Story 4 is not at least going to be great. Maybe not necessary. Maybe it makes the ending of Toy Story 3 feel like it loses a little bit of its punch. I don't know. We have to wait to see what the story is. Have to wait to see what the actual film actually ends up being. But Toy Story 4, I love the Toy Story trilogy. The first Toy Story often competes with The Incredibles as my favorite Pixar film of all time and one of my favorite animated films of all time. And all we know so far is that Tom Hanks came out and said that while he was reading towards the end of the movie, he couldn't even look at the rest of his co-stars or anybody. He had to face the wall to read it because he was getting so emotional. So, does Woody die? I don't know. Toy Story 4, number 8. Number 7 is going to be Aladdin. Now, while everybody else seems to be extremely excited about The Lion King, I'm extremely excited about Aladdin because Aladdin has always been my favorite Disney animated film for the most part, as far as like those classic films. I've always loved that one the most, mostly because of Robin Williams as the genie, but I love the story. I love the Cave of Wonders and the lamp and all the different elements that goes into this. It's a little bit of a weird choice that we have Guy Ritchie directing this movie, and I'm curious if his signature Guy Ritchie style is going to work in this movie or if it's even going to be in this. Who knows? Maybe he learned his lesson with King Arthur, even though I really like that movie. I was like the only one. But Aladdin, that's like one of my favorite films of all time. So the fact that they're bringing it to life, the only thing that I'm skeptical about is Will Smith is the genie. If he nails it, I think the movie is going to be great. But within 2 lines, of Will Smith portraying his version of the genie, it's going to make or break this movie for me. But I'm really anticipating it. The first trailer or teaser trailer looked amazing. Cannot wait for Aladdin. Number 6 is going to be John Wick 3 Parabellum, apparently is like the little subtitle, if Wikipedia can be trusted. John Wick and John Wick 2 are some of the best action films to come out in like the past decade. I actually like John Wick 2 more than I like John Wick 1, and I love John Wick 1. I have no reason to think that John Wick 3 is going to be any less than badass as the first two. I love the story that it's going to be kind of tying up from the end of 2. I'm not going to spoil if you haven't seen it, but it ends on a pretty badass cliffhanger. Maybe they kill his hamster in this one. I have no fucking idea what's going on. But John Wick 3, just from the still image of him on horses, fucking shooting people with his little gun kata thing that he does, I can't wait for this. John Wick is just one of the coolest worlds as far as like the Continental and the way that this world of assassins work together. Cannot wait to see how they wrap up this trilogy. So John Wick 3 Parabellum is number 6. Number 5, please be good, is Glass. Now, we are 1 week away from seeing Glass. Some of us have already seen it. I actually have a close friend of mine that's already seen it. I have waited for this movie since the first Unbreakable movie came out over a decade ago. I think it came out in 2000, so way more than a decade ago, almost 2. But I love Unbreakable. That's my favorite M. Night film. That was my favorite from the beginning. I love everything that that movie did, so ahead of its time, and it's even more awesome to look back at it now that we're in this superhero craze and we're staying in that craze. Split was a really nice surprise. I like it a little bit more every time that I watch it. But the fact that we're getting this film finally, after M. Night just took a nosedive and he just became a joke in Hollywood, the biggest thing that disappointed me was, damn, we're never gonna get that Unbreakable sequel. And then we got it in Split, and now we're getting the wrap up of that trilogy in Glass. The trailer looks awesome. I'm really hoping that it's gonna work for me. From what I hear, the ending is what's gonna make or break it. You're either gonna love the ending and love the film, or you're gonna hate the ending and it fucks everything up before it. Please be good. Glass, don't break my heart. You're at number 5. Number 4 is going to be the Avengers Endgame. Now, I loved Avengers Infinity War. I didn't have it quite as high on a pedestal as it seemed most people did, mostly because that ending didn't have that huge gut punch that it did for everybody else, because I knew all these characters were coming back, so it just kind of seemed like no fault of this film, but all the marketing that Disney and Marvel does continuously kind of fucked the ending up a little bit for me. But still really enjoyed it, and I still really want to see how they're going to wrap it up, how they're going to solve this, who's coming back, who's going to stay dead. Are some of the original Avengers who are left standing right now going to trade places and they're going to be the ones sacrificing their lives to bring back all the people who got dusted? Who knows? How does Thanos play into all this? Where is this going to leave the MCU going forward? So many questions, so many things that this movie has to nail and deliver upon, so much payoff, I'm hoping. But it is one of my most anticipated films, so whenever that weekend comes that Avengers Endgame comes out, I'm going to be standing in line, one of the first people, knocking everybody out of my fucking way so I can see this movie. So, Avengers Endgame, number 4. Now, my top 3 shouldn't surprise anybody, but fuck it, you guys know me so well. Number 3 is going to be It Chapter 2. Now, I was a really big fan of the Chapter 1 that we got 2 years ago. I'm a pretty big fan of the original 1990 It. Yes, I acknowledge all that movie's flaws, but for nostalgic reasons, for the fact that Tim Curry's Pennywise was one of 2 characters in my entire life to give me nightmares continuously, so many things that I loved about that, and they just improved upon pretty much everything in the actual film from 2 years ago, It. I didn't like Skarsgård quite as much as Tim Curry, just because of the fact that what Tim Curry did to affect me as a child, but he did amazing things. And I cannot wait to see what they do to redeem the second half of this story, because a lot of worries, because a lot of people that love the book say that the second half of the book is clearly the worst half of the book. Everybody that saw the 1990 movie knows that the second half of that was the worst half, so I'm hoping they can really pull this off and they can actually showcase this second half, this adult storyline, and do it in the best way possible to make kind of a redemption story for the adult versions of these characters. And I can't wait to see what Bill Skarsgård's going to do with this character, because he was crazy. He was crazy as Pennywise. I want to see, hopefully they don't use quite as much CGI. That was the main negative that I had with the first one. But if they can utilize what they did great with that one and bring even more scary shit into it, they're going to nail it. So It Chapter 2 is number 3. Number 2, sometimes dead is better, Pet Sematary. Now, if you've seen my review, Pet Sematary is one of my favorite horror films of all time. It's easily my favorite Stephen King adaptation of all time, and the other character that scared the shit out of me as a kid was Zelda So that movie, just like the Tim Curry Pennywise, just had an effect on me as a child as being one of 2 films to ever really give me the scares. And I haven't had it since. So I don't think this movie's gonna give me that. We'll see. But the trailer looked really good. I love the casting so far. I'm really looking forward to seeing what John Lithgow is gonna bring to this and what he can bring. It's gonna be different than Fred Gwynne. And I really hope the fact that they're supposed to be going a little bit more novel accurate, that we're gonna get a lot different elements in this to not make it feel just like a straight remake, to the point where we're gonna get a lot of different aspects of the book that maybe didn't make it into that film that might be more effective nowadays, or might be more effective with how far they take it. It's supposed to be a lot more gruesome with the way that they portray Gage and some other things. So really looking forward to Pet Sematary. It has the most potential as far as remakes to let me down the most of the remakes that we've gotten the past 4 or 5 years. So we'll see. But Pet Sematary, cannot wait for it. That is my number 2. But number 1, what can I say? He's my friend to the end. Child's Play. I have made a couple videos already defending the fact that this remake has a lot of potential. This has been one of the most anger-inducing remakes that I have ever seen as far as the online horror community. People are pissed at this movie because it came out while the god Don Mancini is doing his fucking TV show bullshit. I'm not gonna get into all my thoughts. I'll just say this. This is a franchise that is near and dear to my heart. It is right up there with Nightmare on Elm Street as my favorite horror series of all time. Chucky is right up there with Freddy as my favorite horror villain of all time. I love Child's Play and Chucky so much. And as far as I'm concerned, this series has needed a rejuvenation since 2004. Yes, Curse of Chucky was cool, but for all intents and purposes, this has not been the same since Bride of Chucky. Some people would say it hasn't been the same since Child's Play 3 or Child's Play 2. This movie has a lot of things riding on it. The fact that they're going back to the style of the original film of just Andy and the doll and his mom. They're bringing a lot of new elements into it with him having a group of friends and not just being him by himself now. They're bringing in the AI and kind of the modern take on what this doll would do, which to me makes perfect sense, and it gives it a lot of potential for the future and going different directions and not just retreading the same territory that we have seen since 1988. A lot of things that this movie could seriously fuck up and seriously slip on, but if they nail it, it could be a really cool, unique take on this character and this franchise to take it in a new direction and finally bring Child's Play back where it should be, the theaters. So I cannot wait for Child's Play. The marketing genius and the balls of releasing this the same weekend as Toy Story 4, beautiful. Could not have been cooler to read that. So many things that I really hope this movie nails. It also has the most potential this year to upset me. And if this movie sucks, you will see it as number 1 on my top 10 most disappointing of 2019. Easy, automatically. So, Child's Play, please be great. Please silence the haters. That's my number 1. Well, that's it, guys. Those are my top 10 most anticipated films of 2019. What are yours? Let me know down in the comment section below. Please like and share this video and hit that subscribe button if you are not already a subscriber. If you want to check out some social media links, check out the video description below for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spreadshirt for Cody Leach t-shirts and other merchandise designed by the great Woody Bowen, and my Patreon page, which is a great way to give back to this channel, help this channel grow, and get cool exclusive content for your eyes only. And if you guys want to check out some more of my videos, including the rest of my end of the year lists, best, worst, most disappointing, all that good shit, you can check that out by clicking right over here.